serve as the Dean of Engineering. And while I was there, at the time of as a rotator, I went to the National Science Foundation to serve as the Dean of NSF Academy, which is an internal organization within NSF. It's a great position that manages the educational program of the National Science Foundation, directed to the employees of National Science Foundation. Prior to going to NMSU, I was at Iowa State University, where I was a department chair for industrial and manufacturing systems engineering. I spent about 5 years there. Prior to that, I was also again at the National Science Foundation as a program director, managing two research programs, production systems program and operational research program. And of course, when you're a program director at NSF, you have opportunity to many other program directors to deal with problems spanning multidisciplinary. I spent 12 years at Penn State University, professor of industrial engineering and operational research, and 2 years at Syracuse University as an assistant professor. So that has been my background, and I graduate of Virginia Technical Institute, State University. Most people call it today as Virginia Tech. So at the time I was a student, we had that long name. I've been able to break away from that long name somehow. It's realized in my memory. I've applied for the position of the Dean of Engineering. That's why I'm standing before you today. And the reason I gave you at least an introduction of where I've been today prior to this time is at least to let you have at least some appreciation that I've been around academic institutions for quite a while, and I've worked with a number of people over the years, and I'm familiar with how academic institutions work. I've been part of it. I've served as a regular faculty, raising from the bottom to the point where I am today. So I'm very grateful for the many people that have supported me over the years to get to this level. But I also want to say that this is a very interesting time in engineering, a time of great opportunities and also a time of great challenges. And whenever there is challenge, we can create opportunity out of those challenges. As I said to people here yesterday, if you go to any campus in this country and ask them what their plans are, they tell you how they are working as hard as they could to advance the welfare of the institution, and they truly mean to do so. But you also find out that in as much as many have that aspiration, it's only very few that are able to realize that aspiration for a number of reasons. But part of the reason is vision, leadership, commitment. And that's one thing I say, if I were to come to this position, I can assure you I will bring some visionary leadership to this position. By virtue of my own experience, having served as Dean of Engineering and also spent several years at the National Science Foundation, I've been exposed to a number of organizational groups, engaged in research, educational programs, and I've evaluated some of those for the National Science Foundation. And I use those experiences to build my own knowledge base, and over the years, we identified what makes an institution work, and why some institutions, in spite of what they say they want to be, they do not achieve that. If you take a look at the universities in this country, especially the great universities in this country, there are some common attributes you can find in them. One of these attributes is that these universities maintain both regional and global perspective in what they do. They invest in people, they invest in infrastructure. They are proactive in their activities and take risks in investing in bold initiatives. They also know that the world is not stagnant, that systems do change, and they arm themselves with the tools necessary to change and adapt with the system. They are also very strong in research and also very strong in their educational program. And and try to make themselves relevant to the community in which they operate, the state and the nation eventually. These schools also recognize that in our time it is very difficult to get things done if you try to do it solo or to do it all by yourself. And so they do recognize the importance of partnerships. They do recognize the importance of working with industry and all stakeholders involved. Because some of the most interesting problems we deal with in our time exist at the interface of disciplines, interdisciplinary in nature. So if I were to come here, these are the perspectives under which I would bring into my own position as the Dean of Engineering, to be an enabling influence, enabling factor, to try to make these things happen. And I use the word enabling because I can have all these ideas if I don't have people to work with, if I don't have people that support my mission or my vision, it is not going to happen. It is also not going to happen if the Dean of the College of Engineering does not work very well with upper administration or upper administration support the work of the college. So success on this job requires a partnership up, partnership down, partnership laterally. That is what the world calls for today. And those are the attributes you find at modern universities that are progressive in nature. So if I were to come here, one of the things, as I said, these universities have in common is they are strong in research. And you can look at the schools around this country that we admire, the schools that we say are very forward-moving, progressive, and you find out that none of them is weak in research. None. Then you also look across the landscape of universities here, you find out that these schools give very solid educational program to their students, so that when the students come out there, they are very proud, they are confident, they move out there with a can-do spirit to conquer the world, if I can use that. Okay. So those are the sort of things we emulate. Another thing with these schools is that they are not followers. They are not people waiting for somebody to initiate something and then they follow. They take risk, calculated risk, and they move, take bold initiative to pursue these activities. You will not make national name recognition, you will not be a prominent college of engineering if all you do is to mimic what everybody else is doing, to follow. Because by the time you get there, others have passed there already. And it is those who are the frontiers of these activities that will get the accolades of the day. And that's what these schools do. So if I were to come here, those are the kind of vision that I bring with me. And I can say this because I have done it, been a dean before, and within the period of time I was dean, I was able to advance at least my college in some form. No one is always satisfied with the results. You always have a much larger goal. Even when you achieve your goal, the goal is always advancing. And so one of the things I like to come here, if I come here, is to look at the research enterprise at this university, identify the things this university, this college in particular, is good at. And we want to hold on to those, our traditional areas of strength. But we also want to open our eyes to see other opportunities that arise out there. I know at this college, as who have explained to me, seeing like some areas of trust that they feel they have strength in is aerospace engineering. And that's anchored on the basis that there are some aerospace companies and programs around the state for which the university here needs to support the activities. There's also strength in energy, various forms, and energy management, utilities, and things like that. Those are commendable. There's also agreement that this college is strong in transportation, water resource management, as well as information science and technology. I also recognize that the unique program that I heard of when I came here is the idea of a bridge inspection program in transportation and in civil engineering. To me, these are commendable. We need to put those ones in our pockets, but we also need to expand the domain, because it is not just sufficient to pursue research as you know today. Many universities thrive not because of money that comes from the state, but because of entrepreneurial spirit of the faculty that allows them to go after major research efforts that can bring money to the university. It is through those research efforts, those monies that you attract, that allow people to go after quality graduate students, to bring them to campus, to support the work of the faculty, and the faculty, of course, supporting the work of the graduate students to make them successful. So if I were to come here, there are some areas that at least I would like to propose to the university or to the college. And I call it university sometimes because these problems are large and big. No one college can work on them alone. You guys live very close here to the border. And I understand, at least from what I read at the national level, it is also a very porous border. We also talk about the issue of national security, border security. It just seems appropriate that a university like this that is very close to the problem should be seen nationally as one that has expertise in that area to help the nation to make your own talent relevant to the states and to the country. We also, another area of growing importance in our time is the area of material science, which includes nanoscience and nanotechnology. I'm sure there are pockets of work in this area here on this campus. We need to organize it in a form that gives the university visibility. I know people in basic science, maybe that's housed here, the College of Arts and Sciences, do work also in materials. There's no reason why these two colleges or even more can come together to bear on a problem of national importance like this. It's something I like to see. You know, when we're on a campus like this, we can talk about this college or that college, but when you go to the national level or the state level, we don't talk of college, we talk of university. Because even if the College of Engineering is the best here at the university, and the rest of the university is not growing with the College of Engineering, you will not be the national university that you dream of. So it requires us to work together, And also in the area of education, I know many engineering programs are very good at training undergraduate, training students. We do that very well. But engineering education over the years has remained practically the same way. And there's push at the national level. I myself have gone to conferences and given presentations, visited schools, to try to bring additional perspective to engineering. Many people who graduate in engineering today will be engaged in activities that will involve other disciplines, people from other nations as well. So we need to give our students some international perspective in the practice of engineering. There was a study that came some years ago. Graduating engineering students were surveyed and they were asked what will they do after graduation. And the same survey was given to students in business. And the result was astonishing. An average engineering student thinks of himself or herself that upon graduation, he or she is going to find a job and work for a company and grow within that company, or move around companies and grow. The same question was asked to students in business, what their long-term plans are. Their long-term plans was to work briefly for some organization, but eventually to establish their own business and stand on their own and become employers for others. Look, many of our students will be engaged in technology-type research, and we produce technology. Why is it that we don't have the mindset that in as much as we can be engineers, we can also be businessmen and women to grow the economy, to establish businesses that we can hire people? Otherwise, a state like this can be producing people and exporting those students to other states and add very little to the state. So we have to have a mixture of people who want to work for companies and also people whose vision is to use their engineering talent to grow other businesses. That's how you expand the economy. So if I were to come, these are some of the models I would like to present, and also like to have students engage in internship and co-op which many schools do today. But in addition to just doing co-op and internship, I like to get students engaged in international co-op. What do I mean by international co-op? Ability to place our students with companies that have international operations. And if our students can participate in co-op activities with companies that have international operations, not only will they have international experience, they will also have the technical knowledge to allow them to do that. So they'll be able to look at problems from a global perspective. These are some of the things I would like our students to be exposed to, and many more things. But I know my time is running out here, but I also want to key in on the issue of partnership. This is a land grant institution. We need to keep that in mind. And when I think of land grant institution for which I've been involved, this, if I were to come here, this would be the 4th land grant institution I've worked on. Apart from Syracuse University, all my training, all my education and career path have been land grant institution. But remember, part of the mission of the land grant institution is to provide service to the people and to provide access to people to education. We need to live up to that spirit, provide service. So this college needs to recognize that it's a constituent of the state of New Mexico, and that there are people or organizations in New Mexico that can benefit from the talents that the College of Engineering has. So that puts us in the position of providing outreach activities to the people of the state of New Mexico. That's one of the things I like to do. And finally, I like to echo on what I consider critical. All these things that I mentioned here will not take place if there are no people to work with. So a university is not so much on the structure, the building that we have. To me, a university is people, people, and people. If you don't have the people, I can preach all day, all night. It's just talk. Okay, so for me, if I were to come here, one of the things I would like at least to pay attention to is the development of the faculty, the development of the staff, the people that enable the university to get things done, to reposition the university. I also try to recruit people that are capable of doing the work for which we are supposed to do here. I like to invest in people, whether you are clerical staff or you're a faculty. Everybody, I strongly believe that everybody, regardless of the position they hold, they want to grow in that position. And one easy way to make people grow is to allow them to advance their academic career through education. And if you equip them with the right mix of skills, and the right mix of knowledge, they too can decide to where they want to go. When I was at NSF, one thing that my deputy director at NSF, whom I happen to know very well, made it very clear to me was, Pius, let's try to educate the people here at the National Science Foundation to have the best skills necessary for them to advance. And that advancement doesn't have to be at the National Science Foundation. They can go elsewhere and they grow. National Science Foundation will get credit. I'm not saying that I'm going to develop my faculty to go elsewhere, but if you provide a right mix of faculty development program, people get satisfied and are willing to do the work for you. So if I were to come here, I'm hoping that people will support my program to the extent possible to try to pursue this program. And I think I'm going to end there and give you guys opportunity to ask questions, questions that perhaps will be better addressed if one of you picks up. Thank you. The question you're addressing is a question many engineering colleges in this country grapple with. Why is it that we do not have enough enrollment of domestic students in engineering? And a number of theories go into place, but one thing I do know, many students feel they don't have the background, the mathematics and the science background to function in engineering. Some of them, of course, get biased by their colleagues who had enrolled in engineering perhaps didn't make it and scare them away from engineering. One of the things that colleges of engineering have done, and I myself as a dean did, was one, to try to bring potential engineering students to campus during summer, to expose them to engineering principles and engineering concepts and problems, and subject them to work on that. And also we've tried to work with K through 12 schools, because by the time the students get to the point of getting to college, if their mathematical skill is not strengthened, by that time it is too late. And when such students graduate, they will not even think of engineering. So engineering colleges today are becoming more proactive, and I'm very much in support of that, to try to go and work on K through 12 pipeline of students, work with the faculty, equip the faculty with the right knowledge of mathematics and science. In K through 12, people don't talk much about engineering. There's no engineering talk. K through 12, they do teach math, they do teach science. These are ingredients that go into engineering education. And if we can train some of the teachers at NMSU, one of the things we do through funding we got from National Science Foundation is to bring K through 12 teachers in the sciences and mathematics to campus, keep them there for about a month, and work with them on some of the things they need to introduce into their classes to get the students stimulated and interested. So these are some of the things. So if I were to come here, this is one of the things I would do. And also when I was a department chair and also a dean, one of the things I did going to Iowa was to study the enrollment of students from various high schools in Iowa, to identify where most students came from, these high schools that most students came from. And identify those, and what I did was to assign my faculty as liaisons to these schools to go and talk about engineering. But as a department chair, I was not just interested in engineering. Of course, I was selfish. I talked about industrial engineering. But every high school, or that sent a good percentage of students to Iowa State University, I had a representative. I myself, I took some. Other faculty members took some. Iowa also had a set of junior colleges, community colleges, about 22 of them. And students leave these colleges and go to four-year colleges. And so one of the things also I did was to partition these 22 colleges to the faculty members so that they become liaison to these schools. So periodically we go there and make presentation about industrial engineering or about engineering in particular. Another thing that I've done in the past also is to go to schools, this is now geared towards graduate education, is to go to schools that offer science programs, mathematics program, BS science, BS mathematics, and try to encourage some of those students to apply to engineering, because we have a pretty good track record that people that come from this discipline, pure science, pure math, can survive in engineering with introduction to some preliminary courses that prepare them. So we were successful in that. We also dealt with the issue of minorities. We had some partnership with some minority institutions that we brought to campus to work with faculty members in the summer, had the exchange program with the faculty, had the exchange program with the students, and they hang around us for a week or two, just to get to know us. We lavish them with as much love as we can, and telling them we're the greatest university that ever existed in the world. Okay, and hoping that when they live there, they have a much better appreciation of what we offer. So these are some of the things I have personally been involved in. Our enrollment did increase, but I cannot isolate whether this person came because of it. I could not, there was no study to try to categorize that. But as long as my enrollment was increasing, to me, that's all I was hoping for. Yes.
Hi, my name is Bobby Derwin, and I work here in the Division of Student Success. This is like our student services, you can enrollment, admissions, financial, and a bunch of other stuff. I just wanted to be clear with you, I'm not an engineer.
That's fine.
I flip a circuit breaker, I work a washes and rubber gloves. But you laid out a very clear agenda with lots of priorities. And right now, many folks are up in Santa Fe working with our legislature, and our prognosis is that no matter how much we win in our legislative session, we're going to lose overall. And so what would your process be internal to the college to decide among all these various priorities, given that there's only so much money to go around?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I also want to tell you, at least for me, I've been around engineering colleges ever since I knew anything. I don't think I've gone to any engineering college that at any point in time came to us and said, we have money. No, that never happened. Okay? Even when we had money, we felt we could do more, we never had money. So the problem that this college is going to face, even if the state calls a budget appropriation here, it's not a new problem. But that does not prevent us from being creative. Sometimes you derive opportunities out of crisis. Okay? So, in as much as I laid out all these things, eventually the only way these things can work is for the faculty to have a buy-in to this idea. So, what I've laid out is a vision. Eventually, this will be subjected to internal discussion that will eventually lead to prioritization of these things to see which one will give us the maximum benefit for our money. And your question also assumes that the pie is fixed. And I'm telling you, the resource pie is not fixed. The resource pie can be broadened. And it can be broadened through entrepreneurship of the faculty and entrepreneurship of the leadership of the college. The faculty engaging in meaningful proposals can expand the dollar base for the college, bring money, so the pie becomes larger. And also the dean and the department chairs get involved in active fundraising by knocking at the doors of corporations and knocking at the doors of alums and friends. You can also expand the dollar base. That's why I say sometimes out of adversity comes blessing. Okay? So the pie is not fixed. But if we put our eye that only money we can get to move forward is going to come from Santa Fe, I would say we will be disappointed and this college will not move anywhere. So when I come here, I will not come here with the understanding that the pie is fixed. For me, the pie is not fixed. How much we can grow the pie depends on us and the support we get from the community.
My name is Jerry Cause, and I'm an alumni and past president of the Civil Engineering Advisory Board. Civil Engineering Department. And the forum said students, faculty, and staff, and I crashed it. So didn't see me before. One of the things that we're struggling with in civil engineering is leadership. We've been without a department head for over a year. And gone through several selection processes that have all failed. And so the issue that the civil engineering department struggles with is the issue of student credit hours. It seems to guide the university in all decisions that are made. And we've got issues of accreditation. We've got issues, that the faculty, I think we're short 4 faculty positions. And so it really has, beyond the student credit hours, there's accreditation issues and there's recruitment issues that we're having to deal with. And how would you address that, given that the emphasis always seems to be on the student credit hours in maintaining faculty positions?
Thank you. The issue of student credit hours, as administration, top administration, provost, president change, how the criteria they use in allocating funding to the various colleges change. When I was a dean, my new provost also introduced this student credit hour concept. For me, at that time, it just seemed so strange because many engineering departments, we simply teach our courses and teach students within the engineering. We don't offer courses, form of service courses that students can come from all over the university to take, like history and like English. And I remember asking my provost, and I said, Provost, that concept of budgeting could possibly lead to history department having more money than electrical engineering. And I said, but I know The state of Louisiana needs engineers. And she turned to me and said, maybe they need historians. Okay? So it is not a concept I identify with, but at least in my short visit here, talking with the upper administration, I don't think you have to worry about that for too long. People are aware of it, and I don't think there's support up there to continue that. Either the person who instituted that is no longer here, whatever, but I don't sense that there's a support to continue that, because they themselves recognize the disparity in it. In Nigerian education, you do not just go to classroom to teach, you also have to buy equipment, expensive equipment, and if you have to base allocation based on student hours, then we will not be able to provide the services. So that's one case of that. But if that is not addressed, if I were to be hired here and I came, it's certainly an issue I would like to make those above me realize that that formula will not work for College of Engineering. And I'll be able to collect data from other universities to share with them why other colleges are growing and why they're not growing. Sometimes for these people it's an issue of letting them know the fallacy of what they're trying to do by showing them data. Sometimes talking alone is not enough. Show data. Okay, so that they know. On the issue of recruiting, I understand civil engineering, of course, as you said, has vacancy, and that they've carried the search twice. It seemed like on the 2 occasions it failed. I don't know why it failed, but sometimes when you carry out a search, you need to be proactive on who you want to bring to campus. You know, if I were to have an opening, and I take my telephone, and I call people personally, people that I know can help me in the leadership position along with faculty nomination, and somebody takes time to call and tell that person why they are needed here, why they need to apply, people have a different response when they offer, and when an offer is made to them. But when they see themselves as just one of many who happen to be bubbled up and are seen there, it's much easier for them to say no, because they do not hold any allegiance to anybody. Okay? What I have done in the past as a dean was that any site that is carried out, the faculty helps me to identify some of the critical people in their area they feel they needed to talk to, and I will call them specifically and tell them the opportunity that exists and that they should apply and that they need help here. People take ownership in such search. So again, I don't know the circumstance of the civil engineering case, but it's one thing I would like to advise people. Instead of just waiting for the resumes to come, even if you know somebody's going to send the resume, give them a call, you take ownership. And when they are bubbled up to be selected, because of the fact that you spoke to them early on, and the fact that they made some commitment to you that they will apply, they feel less obligated to say no. And also, they also feel they know you, and because they know you, they feel more comfortable coming to work with you. But if they don't know you, it's easier to say no, because they have no obligation. Okay? Alums can help in that too. You know, just imagine somebody that is to come, and you as an alum picks up a telephone, of course, letting the department and the college know that you're interested in this, and you call that person and say you an alum calling, you are passionately interested in having that person in, it has a different reaction from people. So if the alums have been involved in faculty recruitment, I would say you guys should be more proactive to go after the candidates so that when they come here to interview, they know they are committed to coming.
Part of the challenge is knowledge differential.
Okay.
We are somewhere between 10 and 30% below our peers
Okay.
in the public institutions.
Yeah.
And we have not been able, internally to the university, to argue for more competitive salaries.
That's a challenge. It's because nobody wants to make a move if they're going to just make about this amount of money they're making there. Okay? Why go through all that hassle? Or, you know, you begin to sense also if the university is giving you hard time in coming up with what to consider basic, can't come up with it, they're arguing with it, you begin to think, what happens if I'm there? Okay? If I'm there, it's going to be even tougher. First, you have to be competitive with salary. There's no two way about that. And if this university is trying not to remain competitive, you continue to have that difficulty. Okay, but I'm hoping that the new administration coming to understand you'll be having a new provost, a new president, so you have a remake of the university leadership to some extent, and the president coming from a research one institution, Nebraska. I don't know where your provost will come from, probably a person from a research one institution. Hopefully these people will come from schools with engineering programs and understand the competitiveness of the engineering faculty. I told a story here yesterday that when I was dean, I hired a husband and wife team. Very good. It took me a long time to convince them to apply, and these people were bringing about $9 million a year to the research program. And so I called them. After a long hesitation, they both applied, and very liked, and I made offers to them. At what I felt was a good offer for them for $180,000 for 9 months each one of them. Okay. It was at that same juncture that my provost left. My provost left and a new one came. This new one came from a different kind of school. And looked at the offer, I said, this is too much. Can't pay somebody this much. I said, this offer is it's not going to go anywhere. And she voided the offer. Voided the offer. So this, to my consternation, they already told their colleagues they were leaving. They were left in the cold. But because they were very astute faculty, very accomplished, the university had no hesitation to give them. They voided their letter of resignation and kept them. But to make the long story short, they did apply to another school the same year and were hired, each one of them at $230,000 apiece, okay, for 9 months. So sometimes if you have, the point I'm trying to make is if you have the right administration that understands the landscape of engineering and know that engineering faculty are expensive, we will not have this problem. I'm hoping that will be the case, but if you have somebody that does not understand that, it can be very rocky. It's a reallocation issue, but the college also identified it as a high priority area for them. Okay, if I see what they told me in their strategic plan, they identified it as high priority area. What does it mean for an area to be of high priority? You're going to invest in it. Okay, that means some money. If you don't have it, assuming you don't have a scenario where you have more money, for you to introduce something new and you have a fixed buy, that means something has to give way. Which one is that you have to give, that has to give way? That is subject to discussion in the college. Otherwise, it's just a priority area only by name. Okay? But if also it's a high priority area for you and you know you cannot get money from the state, that's the more reason you should go and beat the people around you as much as you can to generate money outside. Because for it to be priority material for you, that means there are people, your constituents, some stakeholder has interest in that area. Okay? So you have aerospace as a priority area. Who is going to consume the product of that program? Do you have them in the state? I'm sure you have a market. Some group of people that are going to benefit from the aerospace program in the state or outside the state. Go and get them recruited to have a stake in that program so that they can invest in that program. Because the reason you're establishing that program is because of them. They shouldn't be outsiders cooking up. Most universities today thrive at partnership. You should go. As a matter of fact, those groups should have been part of the discussion all along as you work on this new aerospace program. Okay, so they need to take hold of it and work with the state legislatures. Perhaps some of those people from the private sector have a much greater leeway to go and interact with the state legislatures than you and me who are part of this institution. Okay? When I was in Dean, issues like that, I asked my advisory council, hey, you guys can do it, University doesn't allow me to talk to the legislators, but you can, you're a free citizen. Okay? But when you go, don't say something. Okay? Just say you, for the goodness of your heart, you're pushing this. But that's what I do. Also, you go to the federal government, if they find that the program is creative enough, like the National Science Foundation, Department of Defense should have interest in something like that. Okay, why can't they participate and give some money? Okay. You are talking of aerospace. Who consumes aerospace programs in this country than the Department of Defense? There should be a player. Otherwise, why are you doing it? If nobody is going to support it, then why is it a high priority area?
Somebody's still got to pay for those factors because I kind of doubt whether we're going to be able to build the program entirely on.
But I didn't talk about people going to talk to legislatures here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how to build up your internal budget. I don't know about this university. I know at Louisiana State University, I cannot just go out as a dean and go and talk to legislatures. That's a prohibition. The president wants to control that area.
Yeah, we just got the memo on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I scratch my head, how do I get this done? Because the president may go to talk to the legislatures and my request is low on her priority. She's not going to bother it up, so I had to find some other conduit, other channel to make that visible at the state level. That's why you have an advisory council, advisory board, to do some of those dirty work for you. Okay?
What attracted you to apply for this job?
Okay. I don't remember how many times I've been asked that question ever since I came here and I started interviewing yesterday. A number of reasons. It's I will not apply to this university if this university does not have some name recognition out there as being a quality university. I don't just apply. I do not apply to a university that will lower my own expectation, downgrade my own position in the profession. So this university is known for its good work and some of the graduates it produce over time. It's a research one institution, to me that's a benchmark. It's also a land grant university for which I'm very familiar with. So those qualities attract me to the position. But equally important, I feel I have the qualification, the background to do the kind of work and the kind of vision that I've shared with you here to try to have a venue, to try to make them become realities. That's why I apply. Short of these two things, I probably will not apply. Sufficient to write proposals. You have to write proposals that excite people. Okay? You have to be creative, you have to be thinking ahead of what opportunities are out there, so that when you write your proposal and your proposal is reviewed by a panel, your proposal stands out. You don't want to be a follower. If you're a follower, there are people already ahead of you. So you want to be, even if it's a mature area, if you can find a niche that when you write about it, somebody like him reads it and say, wow, this is a valuable problem. At least that's one thing I learned about NSF. One thing, another thing I learned about NSF to grow a college like this, that if you write proposal and your proposal does not show interdisciplinary effort, and I know this proposal is coming from electrical engineering, and I know many program directors at NSF are familiar with many universities and programs, and I know there's somebody in mechanical engineering good at the same thing, and I don't see his name there. I would like to ask question, why is he not in that list? That means this faculty member is just trying to build a wall around himself, to do this by himself and take the glory by himself. It does not show interdisciplinary nature. No, I will not support it. Okay? So you have to try to broaden the perspective to bring any person you know can strengthen the proposal, bring them in. And that's the way you excite people. So that I can say, oh, I know her, she's very good at that. I know her, she's very good at that. And just imagine bringing these two teams together. Okay? Bringing these two people together gives you a great proposal. Another thing that I know I can bring to engineering like this is that you don't just operate in a vacuum. You need to keep a pulse at what's going on at some of these national agencies. What is it that they are pushing? What is their priority? Because at any point in time, they're thinking of something. If you can get to know ahead of time what they are thinking, you can begin to put your faculty in position that the moment they put an announcement, you've been working on that, you just send their proposal. Yeah. So you need to know what their national priorities are, because NSF has priority, DAPA has priority. If you are doing something outside that framework, it may be a very good work. It may not fit into any program. I've seen proposal being sent to NSF and being tossed around. Which program fits, doesn't fit any program. They give to this program director, erase it doesn't excite him enough, and say, oh, it doesn't really fit in mine. Let me send it to him. And he reads, it doesn't fit in his. Eventually somebody sits down, writes up a report, said, not funded, not approved. Okay. So you need to know what is of interest to those agencies. That's how universities thrive. Many universities that are successful, some of them have agents that reside in Washington. Try to log it, don't know what's going on. Okay. I know when I was a student at Virginia Tech, there was a faculty member, himself alone, hired an agent that stayed in Washington to look for opportunities for him and feed him information on what's going on. And he was very successful in his research because he can tell ahead of time before everybody else what is coming. Okay, those are the things you do. I tell people NSF is very open. If you call, they let you in. But many people just don't know how to interact with agencies like that. And they think you can just be here, Las Cruces, like I said, write a proposal, send. Yes, it will work sometimes, but some of the time it's not going to work. Not that they play favoritism, but at least the people who know what's going on, they like proposal, tune with the priority.
You know, there are probably other people in the room who see things better than I. But I think one of the challenges we have at our university, I think Mr. Klaas raised the credit hour issue, and you talked a little bit about maybe that might change. But we have seen in the recent years sort of an increasing centralization. Some might even refer to this as bureaucratization of a lot of our functions. And the reason I raise this is the grants and contracts area has sort of been reconfigured and redesigned numerous times since I've been here, and I've been here about 15 years. And the kind of interaction that you suggest might happen between faculty members and agency people, I think is inhibited by some of these rules. And so there are some internal issues, control and the upward flow of information versus the desire to realize new resources and achieve creativity and innovation. And somehow we need to maybe work on our balance between the two.
So you said it right. I hope any person coming to take leadership here. I don't know, my schedule did not include meeting with the VP for research. And so I don't know what he does. And such a VP visit, traveling and hitting our doors to try to know. I can say this because I was a program director and how many people over the years when I was there come to knock at the door at the major universities. And we are obligated to meet with them and tell them what we are doing. There's nothing secret about what we are doing.
As I say, I may not be the best person to raise the concern, but it might be something you want to ask others who have applications.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Sure, okay. Thank you so much.